holy brothers and sisters!
It is the 28th of SIVAN, and in the Kitzur Likutei Moharan, today's lesson will be called Intellectual Illumination. Teaching number 221. When a person gives Meiser tithes, God stretches out his hand and covers him in the shade of his hand, and he saves that person from his enemies. So we should know that just when we stretch out our hands to care about and save others, so too does God act in kind to outstretch his hand to help save us. Through giving Meiser, these tithes, a person also merits to be satisfied with what he has. When one is able to give up and part with his materialism, and he shows that he is not longing for it, and especially that he doesn't need any more, in this way we become super satisfied with what we have already. Teaching number 222. A person must always be happy and serve God with joy. And if sometimes he falls from his level, he must strengthen and encourage himself with the earlier times when he had some small illumination of God's light, and then it did shine on him at that time. He should uphold himself now with the spiritual arousal and illumination that he had experienced earlier, until God helps him and he once again shines his light upon him. Amen. We know it's a great idea during our hispodidus, or during our verbal communication with God, Hashem, to thank him not only for the things that we appreciate, but also for all the events that were seemingly miraculous in our lives. When we remember the great times and the obvious illumination, we can keep a much stronger and a closer bond to our Creator. Teaching number 223. Sometimes it may happen that the requests of a tzaddik, the righteous one, that they are not fulfilled, because sometimes he listens and sometimes he does not listen. Door 105b. But there exists a tzaddik who can actually pass decrees and declare, I say that it will be so. When we get to great levels where we understand completely that there is nothing other than God, and that we are all portions of God, then when we say things, they will indeed be so, since ours is God's speech, and that crystallizes into a physical realization. Teaching number 224. Even those people who are far from the tzaddik receive vitality and illumination from him. By virtue of one who is the real tzaddik, they are able to help everyone around them. Teaching number 225. There are an infinite number of degrees and levels of trust in God, and the more intellect a person possesses, the greater his level of trust. And commensurate with the amount of trust a person has, the more charity he merits to give. In this way, a person merits to complete and to rectify his speech, which is what defines and distinguishes him as a human being. The more that we know God runs our lives and the entire universe, the more trust we can come to have in him. We know that we are in the best hands possible. And since charity helps us to remember who runs the show, it fixes our speech and we are able to pray more properly and elevate our bodies to be less like lowly animals. As always, thank you so much for learning together. If you enjoyed this lesson, please remember to like, comment, share, and borrow. And please God, we'll learn again tomorrow.